Let's try again. Just had a bit of an accident and got all creamy pasta down my leg. Right, as you can see from the dramatic landscape, I've managed to cut my pennine apron strings and I'm in the northern fells of the Lake District, going off Wainwright's classification. I've just parked at the bottom down here and I'm on my way up Bowscale Fell. Is it Bowscale Fell? Bowscale Pike? Anyway, the one with the tarn, Bowscale Tarn below it. I'm going to walk up here, up to that one. Then I'm going to do this one up here, which is Bannerdale Crags. And then I'm going to finish up for the night on a third fell, another Wainwright, that I'm not going to say just yet because there's quite a good story about it, which I'll come to later. It's a fantastic day. Just lovely walking conditions, quite still, warmish, and just very pleasant. I've got a bit of a climb up here, so I'm going to get a bit of a sweat on up there, I think. But apart from that, everything's cool. Right, I'll come back to you when I get to the top. Right folks, well I've stopped overlooking Bowscale Tarn, which I'll show you in a minute. It's just behind me over there. It is an awesome glacial feature. Lovely tarn in the bottom of a corrie. I'm just sort of looking west and northwest and it's really wild and remote up here. There's not many people about. I've seen one or two, but no, it's really quiet. It's fantastic. I'll give you a bit of a look at the area anyway. And there's Bowscale Tarn. Fantastic, isn't it? Wonderful glacial feature. I like these sort of tiered crags at the back as well, sort of the head wall where the glacier would have started. Now from here you can see sort of three more Wainwrights quite clearly. That one across there I think is called Knot. And then if I move northwards along that ridge, the big one there I think is High Pike, which I've not done either of them two. And this one close at hand here, this sort of bulky one with the lots of scree fans on it, that's Carrick Fell. I've done that before. Quite misty conditions. A few years ago that were. Interesting geologically that, quite different probably from anywhere else in the Lake District. Yeah, so in terms of the geology, Carrick Fell is quite different from the rest of the fells, not just around here but in the Lake District as well. I don't know whether the camera's picking it up, but the scree fans on it are quite dark, and that's because it's made up of an igneous rock called gabbro. And gabbro is like the basic equivalent of granite, so it's got big crystals, but whereas granite is an acidic igneous rock, gabbro is a basic igneous rock. And like granite, it's associated with like deep, huge magma intrusions, sort of deep within the Earth's crust. The cooling on Skye, that's gabbro, that's a very famous area of gabbro rock. And yeah, and there's some here as well. It's a nice craggy little mountain is Carrick Fell. I think there's an Iron Age hill fort on top or something as well. at these slopes. Extremely steep. Right, so I'm lolling about on Bannerdale Crags. Fantastic belvedere this, what a view. See right over to Cross Fell, Mickle Fell, Helvellyn Range, High Street Range, the northernmost end of the Pennines, sort of the forests, I suppose up round Kielder it looks like up there. Anyway, this is the second Wainwright of the day and I've got one left to do. And of the three, it's probably the most insignificant. It's the lowest, it's the least shapely, probably got the worst views, but compared to the other two, it's got a right good story about it, something really mysterious about it. And ever since I started collecting the Wainwright guides in the late 1980s, I've always wanted to visit this fell. And it's either Souther Fell, Souther Fell, an old name is Souter Fell. Either way, like I said, it's got a right good story about it, a mysterious tale. And when we get to the top, I'll tell you about it. So I'm just descending now to the bridge over the river Glenderramachin, I think it's called. It's an interesting name, isn't it? It sounds Norse. I'm going to get some water down there because I've supped up long ago and I'm parched. I haven't brought enough water today at all. Struggled a bit. Then from there, from the water, I'm going to follow this path that angles up this fell. And that'll take me onto like a saddle, like a col, which is an interesting looking landform really. It stops the river Glenderramachin just cutting straight south. It's got to go right round Souter Fell. Anyway, from the top of that col, and it's the shortest walk onto the summit ridge really, Souter Fell. It's just turned 5 o'clock and I'm on the top of Souther Fell, Souther Fell, whatever it's called. I'm just off the summit. I've not been to the summit yet. I'm going to do that tomorrow morning on my way home. It's just up there, only a few hundred yards away, but I kind of like this spot better. It gives me a nice view to the south of the fells down there. I've got a good view of the Dodds, like the Helvellyn sort of range. The saddle of Blencathra, that's like towers over. What a beast that is. And of course, I've cut my Pennine apron strings, but I can't turn my back on them all the time, can I? So, I need to see Cross Fell. Very dear to my heart is Cross Fell. Oh, the joy. Oh, it's so good when you got everything set up and sorted. It's about 10 to 6. I can't see anybody coming up now. I got here about 5ish, and a few minutes after, a bloke come over the top. He looked like he were wild camping. He had a big pack on his back. He went over towards Blencathra. I'm just debating whether to have a beer now. I really fancy one, but I'm also very thirsty. So I think that'll dehydrate me quite a bit. So I'm gonna resist. I think maybe make a brew. What a glorious evening! What a glorious evening! Well, it's 10 to 8 and it's tea time. I'm on a new brand tonight. I'm on Blarband, which I've heard a lot of good things about. People tell me that this is like a cut above the norm. So we'll soon find out. Creamy pasta with chicken. Sounds nice. Looking forward to it. The temperature's dropped off a bit now. The sun's gone behind Bannerdale Crags over there, and there's high cloud making for that sort of milky look to the sky. I'm hoping it sort of burns off a bit. Well, not burns off. What's the? I'm hoping as temperatures drop, it disperses and we get a clear night. But it's still very pleasant, although I can start to feel a little bit of cold on my hands now. But yeah, I can see myself sitting out here for a bit yet. Let's try again. Just had a bit of an accident and got all creamy pasta down my leg. It is creamy. It's nice. Right, spooky story time. Are you ready for this? You're going to be checking behind curtains and round corners and stuff after you've heard this. Proper creepy story. Right. This is no legend. This is the solemn truth as attested on oath before a magistrate by 26 sober and respected witnesses. These good people assembled on the evening before Midsummer Day 1745 at a place of vantage in the valley to the east to test incredulous reports that soldiers and horsemen had been seen marching across the top of Souter Fell. They saw them all right, an unbroken line of quickly moving troops, horses and carriages extending over the full length of the top of Souter, continuously appearing at one end and vanishing at the other, and passing unhesitatingly over steep places that horses and carriages could not possibly negotiate, as the bewildered observers well knew. The procession went on until darkness concealed the marching army. Next morning the skyline was deserted and a visit to the summit was made by a party of local worthies, fearful that the expected invasion from over the border had started. This was the year the 1745 rebellion. There was not a trace of the previous night's visitors, not a footprint, not a hoof mark, not a wheel rut in the grass. Nothing.
There was no doubting the evidence of so many witnesses, and yet it was equally certain that the marching figures had no substance. A ghostly army. Scientists and students of the supernatural had no solution to offer. The only explanation, now I prefer the ghost explanation, the only explanation ever given was that some kind of mirage had been seen, probably a vaporous reflection of Prince Charlie's rebels who, it was discovered after inquiry, had that very evening been exercising on the west coast of Scotland. So the scientific explanation is a mirage was seen on the top of Souter Fell from a marching army in Scotland that was actually taking place. That sounds even more far-fetched than a ghostly army. Anyway, there's no sign of any ghostly armies tonight, more's the pity. Quite fancy seeing something like that. Right, it's 10:30. I've been out most of the night, sort of just sat out watching the world go by. There's a lovely big halo around the moon as well. It's that thin veils of cloud that's doing it. We're doing it with the sun. There's one or two stars trying to break through, but with the moonlight and that, it's not very good, to be honest. But it is pretty pleasant sitting outside as long as you've got your jacket on. It's, I think last time I looked at about 5 degrees, which is not too bad really. Not a breath of wind. So no, it's been quite a pleasant evening. I'm going to probably read for half an hour, then I think that'll be me for tonight. So I'll bid you good night now, and I'll speak to you again in the morning. Good night. It's 6:20. I've been up since about 5 o'clock. I got up to set the GoPro up for a time lapse. It was, well, you can see now it's quite cloudy. And it was a speculative one then, because it was cloudy over to the east as well. Anyway, the sun managed sort of to appear behind the Pennines. It's going to be another nice day, I think. That thin cloud's still there, but looks like it's breaking up, certainly to the west. I've got from here, I can't see it being above about an hour's walk back to the car, so I reckon I'm going to be on the road quite early today. I've got to go and bag the summit, which is kind of en route on the way down, so I need to do that, or else I won't get my third wane right, will I? Slept quite well, pretty good. I certainly wasn't cold. It didn't get below freezing last night. I think when I got up this morning it were about 3 degrees, and you can feel it. It's picking up now, the temperatures. So, right, I'm going to finish packing up and I'll speak to you again before I get back to the car. See you in a bit. And I can't emphasise this enough, but as always, leave no trace. I'm just on the lane now, not far from Mungrisdale. It's just after 7:15, so I've had a very early start. But it's been a lovely walk down, just listening to the birds singing. I've heard stock doves, willow warblers, chaffinches, chiff chaffs. There was even a field fare back there, which is a bit late. That needs to be getting on its way back to Scandinavia. Right, well that's it for this one. I'm not sure when I'm going to be out again. May's always a busy month for me. I'm always doing a lot of like wildlife photography stuff, gallivanting about. So we'll see. Such a lovely month though, isn't it? I would love to do a wild camp in May, favourite month of the year. Anyway, thanks for watching and look after yourselves, and I'll see you next time.